are the top stories of the news. Suspected headers kill at least 34 people in Guma local government area of Benue State. IGP Usman Baba orders the redeployment of 21 AIGs to various command formation. On the foreign scene, China begins 3 days military exercises around Taiwan amid anger over President Tsai Ing-wen's meeting with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Tunde Idowu. We begin with security matters, as no fewer than 34 people who were taking refuge at a primary school at Ngban in Neve Council Ward in Guma local government area of Benue State have been killed by suspected headers. The incident was said to have happened between 9 and 10 p.m. last night and comes barely 2 days after the gruesome killing of 46 people at Umugidi in Otukpo local government area of the state. Chairman of the local government area, Mike Abba, who spoke through the security officer of the local government, Christopher Waku, described the attack as genocide. Mr. Waku, who said he was speaking from the scene of the incident, said that 24 corpses were picked from the classrooms where the residents were taking refuge, while 10 corpses were picked on the road, indicating they were escaping the attack when they were hit by bullets. The state command spokesperson, Catherine Anani, confirmed the attack but asked for more time to get the details. In the meantime, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Baba, has ordered the posting and redeployment of 21 Assistant Inspector General of Police AIGs to various departments, commands, and formations. The Force Public Relations Officer Muiwa Dijobi made this known in a statement this morning. According to him, the posting is in line with the IGP's mandate and strategies to strengthen the operational structures of commands, departments, and formations. The IGP further charged the newly posted and redeployed officers to put their best foot forward in ensuring that the activities of their new commands, formation, and departments align with the police reform mandate. He also tasked them to ensure compliance with all standard operating procedures in the discharge of their responsibilities. Still staying with the police, Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Dr. Solomon Arase, has warned officers against meddling in land matters and debt collection, as they have no business doing that. Mr. Arase, a retired Inspector General of Police, stated this in Abuja when he received the national leadership of the Police Community Relations Committee, PCRC. The PSC chairman stated that the police have no reason to go into land matters or debt collection issues that should be handled through alternative dispute resolution, adding that he will remain a strong advocate of community partnership in policing. He pledged to work in partnership with the Inspector General of Police to reinvigorate the Nigeria Police Force for better performance. He further expressed concern over the increasing cases of human rights abuses in the force, noting that for the police to excel in its day-to-day operations, there must be consequences for misconduct and benefit for exemplary behavior. Meanwhile, armed bandits have abducted about 60 persons, mostly children, in the border communities of Zamfara and Katsina states. The affected victims are from the Kucheri, Wanzamai, and Danwuri communities of Safi local government area of Zamfara state and Yankara town in Faskari local government area of Katsina state. The incident happened yesterday morning when the terrorists were moving from Sububu Forest in Zamfara to neighboring Birin Gwari Forest in Kaduna State. According to a resident of Safe, the fleeing bandits, who suffered heavy casualties from the military, were abducting people they sight along their way out of the state. Although police authorities in the state are yet to confirm the incident, it was gathered that the terrorists were fleeing Zamfara territory due to heavy military bombardment. And in Lagos State, the State Police Command has confirmed the killing of a suspected kidnapper and the rescue of 2 abductees during a raid on a kidnapper's den in the Ikorodu area of the state. The State Police Public Relations Officer, Benjamin Hondenyi, who confirmed the development yesterday, said the operation took place on Thursday night. He explained that during the raid, the kidnappers engaged policemen in a gun duel adding that after killing one of the suspects, the rescued victims were rushed to a nearby hospital for treatment. And to politics, the 36th state chairman of the Labour Party have said that the crisis currently rocking the party's leadership was not about the embattled national chairman, Julius Abure, but a ploy to frustrate its presidential candidate, Peter Obi, from emerging victorious at the Presidential Election Tribunal. The post-election crisis in the Labour Party took another dimension on Thursday after a faction of the party, which was headed by the party's national vice chairman, South, Lamidi Apapa, claimed to have been inaugurated as the acting national chairman of the party. Speaking on the crisis bedeviling the party yesterday, the LP's Nasarawa State Chairman, Alexander Ombugu, who spoke on behalf of all the 36 state chairmen, said in spite of the challenges Mr. Abure was facing, they will continue to remain loyal and committed to his leadership. He stated that they were aware that the present crisis in the party was being sponsored by other political parties to spoil the chances of the party in the ongoing Presidential Election Tribunal. Meanwhile, the Labour Party in Ogun State has recommended the 8 executive members of the party, including the former acting National Publicity Secretary Bayomi Arabambi, the state chairman Michael Ashade, and 6 others be expelled from the party. The recommendation for expulsion was made known in a press statement by the party's state publicity secretary, Tokumbo Peters, stating that the recommendation was due to various alleged anti-party activities carried out by the affected executive members of the party. Mr. Peters said the recommendation had been communicated formally to the National Secretariat of the party last week. He said Arabambi and Ashade were recently suspended by their wards and local government areas executive members in the state and were later recommended for expulsion from the party by the state exco of the party. According to the statement, others recommended for expulsion were Fisayo Michael, Tosi Middles, Sheon Ogunyemi, and Lizzie Olise Samuel, who were former state secretary, state zone organizing secretary, state auditor, and state financial secretary, respectively. And still in Ogun State, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Oladipupo Adebutu has filed a petition before the Election Petitions Tribunal seeking an order declaring him as the winner of the Ogun State governorship election. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared Governor Dapo Abiodun of the All Progressive Congress as the winner, having polled a total of 276,298 votes to defeat Adebutu, who scored 262,308 votes. Adebutu and a member of his legal team, Gordy Uche, as well as party chieftains, stormed the tribunal secretariat at Ishabo Magistrate Court premises in Abeokuta and filed voluminous copies of the petition. Speaking with newsmen, Adebutu said he believed he won the election. Meanwhile, in Rivers, the State Police Command has said it is probing the alleged abduction of a lawyer working for the All Progressive Congress APC in the state, Dr. Godswill DK. On Thursday, the Rivers chapter of the APC had alleged the abduction of its lawyer inside the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Aba Road, Port Harcourt. The State Police Public Relations Officer, Grace Iringe Koko, disclosed this in a statement in Port Harcourt, the state capital. SP Iringe Koko said though no formal complaint has been made, the Commissioner of Police, Okon Ifyong, has ordered operatives of the command to investigate the claims of the APC. The Commissioner further promised that anyone found culpable will be made to face the wrath of the law. Elsewhere, the Benue State Governor Samuel Otham has accrued his failed senatorial bid to unfavorable condition, claiming the market was not good. He said with his failed senatorial bid, he will likely return to his farm or find something else to do after the handing over to the incoming administration on May 29, 2023. Otham's senatorial aspiration was dashed following his defeat on February 25th when he lost to his former aide, Titus Zam. He was also among the G5 governors who lost their senatorial bids. He added that despite his loss, He was consoled by the fact that the G5 governors achieved the dream of ensuring that the presidency returned to the South. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his personal and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja, and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorn the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela Ande Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history.
Thank you for staying with us. You're welcome back and into all the news. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has urged Nigerians to be safety conscious while driving during the Easter celebration. The FRSC Corps Marshal Dauda Biu made this known in a statement signed by the Corps' Public Education Officer, Bisi Kazim, this morning in Abuja. Mr. Biu congratulated all Christians on the Easter celebration and called for deep reflection on the need to show love to others, especially while using the road. He called for deep reflection by people on the need for attitudinal change towards road safety and collective campaign against the menace of road traffic crashes in the country. In other news, days after he wrote to the clerk of the criminal court in Old Bailey, London, they aim to intercede on behalf of embattled former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, Nigerians have expressed divergent views over that action by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. While some Nigerians believe the letter plugs a diplomatic loophole created by the country's leadership, others believe that the former president overreached himself. Emmanuel Ujuadegele reports, examines this.
It's been weeks since former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and their doctor Obin Naubeta were found guilty by an Old Bailey jury of conspiracy to facilitate and arrange travel with the aim of exploitation. Reactions have not stopped trailing the 6-week trial where Senator Ekweremadu was found culpable of violating the Modern Slavery Act, and the latest in the string of reactions is tied to a letter written by former President Olusegun Obasanjo addressed to the Chief Clerk of the Criminal Court, Old Bailey, London. Chief Obasanjo's letter acknowledged the crime committed by the Ekweremadus, but begged the court to temper justice with mercy. This letter immediately divided Nigerians right down the middle, as some threw their weight behind his gesture, while others described it as hypocritical and an interference in the dispensation of justice. A United Kingdom-based lawyer, Dr. Misbah Lateef, toes the line of the latter argument, saying that letter by the former president is of no impact.
It is a different thing where you are engaged in public advocacy, asking for the court to be lenient towards a particular defendant or accused person. People do that. You could maybe write an open letter, engage publicists and all of those things. But when you write directly to the court, and this is where the danger lies, in the manner that Mr. Obasanjo has done, as I said, you are in a way, or you could be seen to even be interfering with the due process of criminal justice system, because that is not the way an allocutus is done. And you can imagine, if a system is allowed to run in that manner, whereby just anybody can throw their weight around, write letter to the court, imagine someone writing a letter to the CJ of Nigeria or to the registrar of that court, because when you normally engage with the court, you write through the registrar, just as Mr. Obasanjo has written now to the clerk of that court. So you are like, trying to, in a way, interfere with the judge and the process. So that is not the practice. That is not the norm. That is not the standard.
Dr. Lateef also believes the letter may further compound Senator Ekweremadu's legal woes.
The letter that Mr. Obasanjo has written in a purely criminal case, I fear, as I said earlier, that the letter might actually work against the defendant in this case, because by all standard norms, including, I would say, diplomacy and all of that, this is not how the criminal justice system works. That letter appears to me very dangerous. It is, as I described it elsewhere, a meddlesome interloper letter, which is in a way seeking an undue interference, in a due criminal justice system. The British system doesn't work like that.
Some say Chief Obasanjo's actions may have fallen within the character witness or evidence principle, but Dr. Lateef disagrees.
Character evidence under common law, or that is practiced in a criminal prosecution, is a formal process in the court. It will have been different now if Mr. Obasanjo was a witness in that case. The law allows him to say all of those things before the court in a formal proceeding. But writing a letter, the judge will not rely on that. That letter is useless. I was being careful not to use that word, but I just have to be very frank here. That judge, just imagine that every Tom, Dick, and Harry in Nigeria pick up their pen and paper and write letter like that. How many of them will the judge rely on? Judges are not supposed to be banned by public opinion. They're not supposed to be banned by worthless letters. They are supposed to be banned by the evidence adduced before them in a trial proceeding, in a formal proceeding.
According to Dr. Lateef, Nigeria's judicial system can get to the level of the United Kingdom's if only there are no exemptions made for the high and mighty.
To achieve the same standard in Nigeria, we just have to apply the law equally to everyone. And as I said earlier, an ordinary Nigerian citizen would have been left to face his music, as it were. But when the elites, when they try to circumvent the law, they throw all of this sentiment around. If you go back to the proceeding in that case again, you will see that the judge again acted so much on the status of Mr. Ekweremadu that he ought to have known. He should have known. The prosecutor said all of that. So if you apply the law equally to everyone, regardless of status, of race, of gender, and all of that, I'm telling you, our system will be better for it.
Sonia, the ailing daughter of the Ekweremadus and the third defendant, was not found guilty. All three guilty persons will be provisionally sentenced on May 25th, and attention will be on the UK to see what verdict is given. Emmanuel Ujadigele, Western Spring Television News.
And talking business, the World Bank's ongoing reform could result in a $50 billion lending boost over the next decade. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stated this ahead of stakeholders meeting next week, where key changes are expected to be announced. Central bankers, finance ministers, and participants from more than 180 member countries are expected to gather in the U.S. Capitol for the International Monetary Fund and World Bank Spring meeting in the coming weeks. A key topic of discussion will be the World Bank's evolution amid a push for lenders to revamp and meet global challenges like climate change. Ms. Yellen in the interview said there should be an update of the bank's mission to add building resilience against climate change, pandemics, and conflicts and fragility to the core goals. She added that there needs to be a recognition that these challenges aren't separate or conflicting, but rather inextricably linked. And on the foreign scene, China has begun 3 days of military exercises around Taiwan amid anger in Beijing over Taiwan's President Xi Jinping's meeting in California with the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy. The People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command, in a brief statement today, said the military will hold combat readiness patrols until April 10th. The drills, dubbed United Sharp Sword, involved exercises in the Taiwan Straits to the north and south of the island, as well as in the sea and airspace to its east. The army added that this was a serious warning to the Taiwan Independent Separatist Forces and external forces collusion and provocation, and it is a necessary action to defend Beijing's national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Ms. Tsai met Mr. McCarthy on the return leg of a tour of the self-ruled island, which Beijing claims as its own, two remaining former allies in Central America, and arrived home yesterday. And in the Middle East, an Italian tourist has been killed and 7 others injured in a suspected car ramming attack near a beach in Tel Aviv. Italy's Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani said Israeli authorities had identified the man killed as Italian citizen Alessandro Parini, aged 36. According to medics who spoke to local media agencies, the wounded include 3 British nationals and 1 other Italian. Footage from the scene showed an overturned car near a promenade and an Israeli police officer opening fire. Local police said the suspected attacker was shot dead by officers. The attack came after 2 British Israeli sisters were killed and their mother injured in a shooting in the occupied West Bank yesterday morning. And talking sports, British heavyweight Anthony Joshua says he is definitely going to be fighting in the next 3 months following his win over Jermaine Franklin last Saturday. Joshua claimed his first win in more than 2 years, having lost consecutive bouts to WBA Super, IBF, and WBO World Champion to Alexander Usyk. Joshua, in an interview, said he does not know who his next opponent will be, but he wants to get the ball rolling. He noted that it took him 9 months to return to the ring against Franklin, adding that he doesn't want to wait that long again. He further added that it was important to get a first win under new coach Derek James, who he hired in February. And to the world of football, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says Erling Haaland is ready to return for their Premier League game at Southampton on Saturday. Haaland missed last weekend's 4-1 home winner over Liverpool with a groin injury, but the 22-year-old returned to training earlier this week, and Guardiola confirmed his availability for the trip to St. Mary's Stadium.
It's part of the season, no more international break, so it depends on us how many games we're going to play for the Premier League for sure, but the FA Cup and Champions League, we'll see what happens, and yeah, so we know exactly. So win game, we are live, no win, out.
How's Erling Haaland?
Yeah, training the last 2 days really good, so we'll be ready.
Does he need to get minutes for you in this Southampton game to be ready for Bayern Munich as well?
Bayern Munich is the last thought, so it's Southampton. So Premier League is every day, every week. and not depends on that.
And before we end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. No fewer than 34 people who were taking refuge at a primary school at Mbang in Naive Council Ward in Guma local government area of Benue State have been killed by suspected headers. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Baba, has ordered the posting and redeployment of 21 Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIGs, to various departments, commands, and formations. On the foreign scene, China has begun 3 days of military exercises around Taiwan amid anger in Beijing over Taiwan's President Xi Ing-wen's meeting with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Tunde Ido. Good afternoon.